I really thought I was done with the Patrick Mahomes slander, the Patrick Mahomes hate, the Patrick Mahomes Tom Brady GOAT conversation, because quite frankly, it is over. And you know it's over when one of the biggest and greatest Tom Brady haters there's ever been, Rob Parker, is saying that the GOAT conversation between Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady is actually over. That's what I'm reacting to today. Maybe the last of the bunch. We'll see. You guys love these videos, so I'm going to keep doing them until I can't find any more. Rob Parker says that the Patrick Mahomes GOAT conversation and argument is a done deal. He's got no shot, no chance. And yes, I have my jacket on, bro, because it's cold. It's a cold-hearted affair with these Chiefs fans. So, let's see what he has to say. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for more NFL reaction videos just like this. And if you want me to make my own reaction channel, then let me know in the comments. Let's go, man. Rob Parker. I never thought I would see the day where I would agree with Rob Parker. My goodness, bro.
Let's get to Patrick Mahomes.
Let's do it.
All right.
They suck.
It's real simple. There is no GOAT conversation with Pat Mahomes. It's over. Okay? I thought it was premature anyway. I do.
No, not.
It was definitely premature. I don't know who his co-host is. I don't know who this jabroni is, but we'll see if he has a good opinion as well.
Yeah, sorry. Something really bad happened on the hoop game. My bad. Go ahead.
I thought it was premature because he wasn't even better than Joe Montana yet, and people were ready to crown him. And I'm not saying he's won 3 Super Bowls. I got mad respect for Patrick Mahomes. But
exactly. Okay? There's a lot of people in my comments saying that you're going too far. What have you become? Why are you hating so much? Guys, first of all, I'm not hating on Patrick Mahomes. I'm hating on this idea, this concept, this argument that Chiefs fans and the media at large has driven down my throat over the past few years. Really, ever since Patrick Mahomes got to the NFL and became a starter in 2018, we've been hearing about how Patrick Mahomes was eventually going to pass Tom Brady. We've been hearing about it since then. So how do you think that makes me feel as a Patriots fan, as a Tom Brady fan, who grew up hearing about Joe Montana, who grew up about hearing all the different things about my favorite player? He could never be this, he could never be that. He has to achieve this, he has to achieve that. And then as soon as some guy comes around, he's already the best of all time? How do you think that makes me feel, bro? So yes, it was premature, of course. That being said, I don't hate Patrick Mahomes. I don't disrespect Patrick Mahomes. I put him in his place. I put the Chiefs fans in their place, bro. And I put this argument in its place, which is why I'm making all these reaction videos. Okay? If you haven't already, and I know you haven't because you're a jabroni, Gronk, spike the like button. Come on, Rob.
But this whole idea,
I don't know about mad respect.
I do, I have respect. But the idea that he was chasing Brady, and if he won this one, would you have to say that he's close to Brady or he's going to pass Brady? Or you said you would identify or recognize him ahead of Brady, right?
I said if he gets to 5,
all right,
we can start having like that for real conversation.
Here's my problem with it is that, and this was why I always said I would take Eli.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay,
Eli. Where is he going with this? Okay, but co-host says 5 Super Bowls. See, that's not what it was for Tom Brady. He went to 6 Super Bowls and won 4, and people still weren't convinced.
Okay, he's got the 3 Super Bowls, but Rob G, his numbers in the Super Bowl are atrocious, right?
Atrocious.
They just are.
Mm-hmm.
So along with winning the Super Bowls, which you get credit for, there's also a degree of how well you play in those Super Bowl games, right? We're just talking about Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. You have to look at everything. Now, I do think this Super Bowl performance thing has been a little bit simplified. Like, it feels like it's now the argument that everybody's using. Like, we should be looking at everything, guys. But my problem is that there's too many that don't put the statistics into an era argument. They don't understand the stats. There's too many people commenting on my videos about Patrick Mahomes having more yards than Tom Brady through 7 seasons as if it wasn't 2 completely different NFLs. And that's what makes the Super Bowl stats so poor for Patrick Mahomes, especially when you stack him up with Tom Brady. Because Brady had a better performance in Super Bowl 38 that took place in 2004, the 2003 NFL season, a better Super Bowl performance in 2003 statistically than Mahomes has ever had in the 2020s when the game is different. That was actually before the illegal contact rule of 2004, right? So, just saying.
And that's where he's fallen short, right? Of all quarterbacks, Rob G, with 3 Super Bowls, what do you got for me? Give me the numbers.
So, of all the quarterbacks to have at least 3 Super Bowl rings, again, there's a very short list. Patrick Mahomes has by far the worst touchdown-interception ratio. Number 1, of course, Tom Brady. His is 21-6.
That's interesting. Mahomes has the worst. Okay, so to win 3 Super Bowls, though. So, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw, Troy Aikman. Is that it?
Joe Montana, actually, if you want to be really stickler, 11-0. His is the best. Troy Aikman.
Yeah, so Joe Montana technically has the best touchdown to interception ratio because he never threw an interception. And he had 11 touchdowns, I think he just said. But clearly he doesn't have the most touchdowns. But touchdown to interception ratio, Joe Montana, which is a reason you could argue that Joe is still the 2nd greatest quarterback of all time because those Super Bowl performances are iconic and hard to match. Hard to match.
5-1. Even Terry Bradshaw, who's taking heat on this show as recently as last week, 9-4. Patrick
Hold on, let's rewind that for a second.
Aikman, 5-1. Even
Troy Aikman, 5-1.
Terry Bradshaw, who's taking heat on this show as recently as last week, 9-4.
Terry Bradshaw in the 70s having a 9-4 touchdown to interception ratio is pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good.
Patrick Mahomes.
All of those wins came in the 70s, by the way. Troy Aikman played in the 90s. And I will say this about Troy. Had a number of clutch performances. He usually did enough and made enough throws for his teams to win, but the offense wasn't driven through Troy Aikman. And in a lot of the games that he won in the Super Bowl, if not all of them, they were decisive. So it wasn't like he had to throw a lot of touchdowns. We'll throw that out there. I will say for Joe and those Niners teams, I think some of the numbers are a little inflated at times just because they slaughtered a couple of the teams they played, and he just kept throwing touchdowns. Like the Steve Young performance, for example, in the Super Bowl, where they just slaughtered the Chargers. Like the game was well over, and he's still throwing touchdowns. But, you know, some teams and players treat it a little bit differently. It is the Super Bowl, so just keep racking up those stats, I guess.
Holmes, even after 2 garbage time touchdowns.
And you
in
will
last week's
admit
game.
that, right? Those 2 touchdowns at the end, those are good.
He had garbage time touchdowns against the Eagles, and he had garbage time yards against the Eagles. He had garbage time yards against the Bucks, and he had an overtime against the Niners.
Garbage touchdown.
I mean, yeah, that was just trying to save
it was
the
40 to
save the
6,
score.
right?
Yeah.
And then
10 touchdowns, 7 picks for him
Yeah.
in the Super Bowl.
and his quarterback rating, Rob G, 86.9. Is that what it is?
That is correct.
I mean,
Almost 20 points lower than his normal postseason QB.
Which is crazy. That's what I've been saying, is compare the average Patrick Mahomes performance to his Super Bowl performances. It's not just that he's playing poorly in the Super Bowl. It's when you take his average performance, even in the playoffs, as they just said, and compare it to the Super Bowl. The guy is like a different quarterback when he plays in the Super Bowl. So how can you consider that guy near the greatest of all time? I'm just saying, if against the best opponent that he sees every single time he plays his worst, what does that tell you? Joe Montana, maybe it wasn't the best opponent at times because the 80s and 90s were mostly the NFC Championship was the Super Bowl. So you'd have to look a little closer at those NFC Championship numbers. But for Tom Brady, it felt like every time he played in a Super Bowl, he'd often play one of his better games. And when he didn't, he lost. Right? The Giants games. When he didn't play his best, they lost. Although they were still close. The Eagles game, he played amazing. One of the best performances I've ever seen by a quarterback. They still lost. Okay? But then, in his later years, especially against Seattle and against Atlanta, especially in those games, if he didn't play that spectacularly, they would have lost. And against Atlanta, they probably would have lost in humiliating fashion. It would have been one of these Kansas City losses.
Or passer rating.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that hurts him when you talk about Patrick Mahomes and this GOAT conversation. This loss is a huge loss for him.
I will say, too, it hurts him not just against Brady, because that's obvious, but it hurts him against Joe in particular. But I think it also depends on how he continues to grow his legacy throughout the next 5 to 10 seasons. Because then that's where we start to begin with, okay, how does he stack up against Peyton? How does he stack up against Elway? How does he stack up against all these other guys, right? So we'll see. It's not a guarantee that he'll continue to get back to this game. If he starts to stack up losses in the wild card and in the divisional round, that's going to kind of move him down the list. I think part of the reason he is so high right now is because he's had such a small sample size. People are looking at this the wrong way, right? If you would have taken Brett Favre in his first 8 years of his career, you could make a similar argument to what Patrick Mahomes has had since 2018. You could say Brett Favre might be the greatest quarterback of all time. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. He has one of the strongest arms of all time. He's one of the most fun to watch of all time. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2. He's won 3 consecutive MVPs. I don't think anyone's ever done that. Look at his yards. Look at his touchdowns. How many times has he led the league? You could make a similar argument. I understand that Mahomes has more touchdowns and Favre has, not touchdowns. He has more Super Bowl wins. I don't know about the touchdowns and stuff. But you see what I'm saying? It's like, actually, Brett Favre's sample size, the fact that he played so long does help him. But at the other side of the argument is the fact he played so long, he strung together bad seasons. He strung together seasons where they didn't make the playoffs. He strung together seasons where he lost in the playoffs. That actually hurt him. You know what I'm saying? For Tom Brady, people look at it, and this is how we judge quarterbacks, and it changes and warps our opinion of quarterbacks because we assume that every quarterback's prime is going to be their entire career, like Tom Brady, right? Patrick Mahomes' prime may not be his entire career. As I've brought up, he has not played as well the last 2 years, despite his team getting to the Super Bowl back-to-back seasons.
And here's the other thing. Now, Tom Brady was 3-2 in his first 5.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the scary part is, Brady went 9 years without winning,
Mm-hmm.
and then won those 4 at the back end, which put him in rarefied air. Here's the problem. Patrick Mahomes isn't in the greatest shape. Would you agree with that?
Bro!
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? I don't. Are you meaning he's Luka? is he?
Kinda is. That's a good comp. Are we getting the second fat Mahomes on this show, bro? Are we getting the second fat Mahomes? Come on. Look at his face. We're getting another fat Mahomes on the Fox Sports? No way.
He out of shape? What you trying to say?
Rob G. He's got a dad bod going for
He's
him.
always had. I don't. But,
no,
go ahead.
I'm trying to
He's not pliable.
say where Tom Brady was with the training and being able to play till he was 45.
Yeah.
I don't see Patrick Mahomes playing to 45. That'd be 15 more years. Would you agree with that?
15 is that's a
30.
rarity. Yeah, I'm saying that's a rarity.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
I'm more of the tune of the decade, meaning like I give him another 10, 12 max.
And there's a
15
chance
is crazy.
Andy Reid retires. Kelsey's about to retire. That's the feeling I get.
He might want to go ahead and just go ahead and propose
He looked
and move
terrible.
on in life.
He looked slow, terrible. I mean, for
Travis Kelce did look awful in the Super Bowl. It sounds like he's going to come back, though, this year, but I don't know. I wouldn't, bro. You look awful, man. Awful. I knew you were going to play so bad when I saw your suit before the game, bro. I knew it. Just go off into the sunset with Swift. Come on.
real.
I'm with you on that one.
So I think Patrick Mahomes was never ahead of Joe Montana in my eyes, even with the 3.
Me neither. Not ahead of Peyton either.
Before yesterday. I'm not just trying to say, he lost, because he already lost before that. So it was 3-1, and he has 2 stinkers in the Super Bowl. 2. Patrick Mahomes has 4 really bad games, and 2 of them have come in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's 3-2. I think he's out of the GOAT conversation. For me, I've told you before, Joe Montana's my GOAT. Tom Brady would be second.
Okay, there it is. I knew it. I knew he was still a hater, bro. This was too good to be true, man. This was too good to be true. I mean, okay. Okay, it's your opinion. You're objectively wrong, but it's okay. Your subjective opinion. Objectively, you're an absolute jabroni, Rob. But you still gotta hate on Tom a little bit. So I understand the propaganda. I get it.
For a lot of people, I get it. They pick Tom Brady, but there's no way Patrick Mahomes is in front of Joe Montana.
All right, so I think he hurt his chances for the GOAT last night. Do I think he's out of the race? Absolutely not.
Absolutely yes.
And often, I mean,
Let's see what he has to say here.
really because of the stuff you just said. He still has another decade. Tom Brady was 3.
Are we sure he has another decade? I just told you. Okay, Travis Kelce's retiring. Chris Jones is getting older. Joe Tooney's getting older. Patrick Mahomes is playing worse than he did 2 years ago. Andy Reid's retiring. Taylor Swift is retiring from Chief fandom, so they get no referee calls. What else we got? Tom Brady will be in the broadcast booth of Super Bowls, which means automatic loss. What else? He's getting fat, as we've brought up. He's a dad. That doesn't help. I don't know, bro. I'm just saying. I just don't understand why people think that because he has all this time left, he's going to be able to win 7 or 8 Super Bowls. Because that's what he has to do.
3-5 at this point. I mean, 3-2 in Super Bowls. 3-2. And we thought that's pretty much it. Right? 9 years go by. You love to mention that. Well, guess what? After 9 years, he ended up winning another 4. That is...
Bro. He's not going to win a Super Bowl when he's 45. Okay? He's not even going to be playing in the league when he's 42. I almost guarantee this. Guarantee it. Can we even prove That Patrick Mahomes is great without Andy Reid?
Crazy. He won another 4 Super Bowls, and that could very well happen too.
I do not see that.
But he does. But for me, he doesn't have to. I'm not out. Even in basketball,
Well, how could you say that? So what does he have to do?
I'm gonna
want to hear that.
Question.
I really want to hear that.
Wembanyama, who's like 20, let's say he plays for 20 years, whatever. He could potentially be the GOAT if he only has 4 or 5 rings. To me, it doesn't singularly just mean rings. That is a large component. But I need to know accolades.
I agree.
I need to know my eye test. What did I see? I need to know how you handle
Eye test is subjective.
adversity. So to me, there's a bunch of things that go in when we're calling the GOAT. It's not just simply rings in any sport.
It's not just rings,
Right.
but that's,
So
that's a big part
I
of it.
just said it's a large component.
It's the biggest part of it
I absolutely said that. So meaning you can't be
because it's the reason you play.
the GOAT if Patrick Mahomes never wins again. For me, right?
Especially for quarterbacks, because quarterbacks literally are the biggest, most responsible person, arguably even more than a coach on winning.
I said 5 when we talked about this on Friday. I believe it's out there.
If he finishes with 3, he's not in it. What GOAT conversation?
I'm agreeing. I said he
Okay.
can't be the GOAT. I said he has to have 5 on Friday. I said if he has 5, and I'm assuming that would lead to more great seasons, maybe
So
another MVP
what if he
or 2.
has 5 and 2 more losses? So he won 5, but he lost
So what
9.
would that mean? 5 and 4 or whatever? And I also saw.
I'm just giving you. You giving me 2 wins, and I'm giving you 2 losses.
And I'm saying, was I seeing him continue to be good to great? Meaning they weren't just like I was just along for the rides. Then we can.
That's the thing, though. He's kind of been along for the ride the last year or 2. He's not the only reason they're in the Super Bowl. This isn't the equivalent of Tom Brady losing in 2011 or Tom Brady losing in 2007. Not that Tom Brady was the only reason they were in the Super Bowl because they're a phenomenal team. But 2011 is a good example. Or 2017 is a good example. If anybody not named Tom Brady is the quarterback of those teams, I don't think they're in the Super Bowl. We even saw in 2011 the Packers. The MVP of the NFL, Aaron Rodgers, supposedly the best quarterback in that season, went down to the Giants by a lot more than Tom Brady did in the Super Bowl. And similarly built teams, if not the Packers, were better. The Patriots were only in the Super Bowl multiple times because of Tom Brady, and those were often the ones they lost. The only one that they should have won that they lost, right? Like, the 2017 Patriots are objectively a worse roster and team than the Eagles in 2017. The Patriots in 2011, because of Gronk's injury, were a worse team than the Giants. And they could have easily won that game if Walker catches the ball. But a good example of a team that Brady carried there is 2011. Well, we haven't really seen that for Pat. Like, he hasn't carried a team to the Super Bowl where everything around him is in shambles, in my opinion. I think that's fair.
Have some talk, meaning in between, let's say he got better, the team got better, he won another 2 MVPs. There are other components, then yes, he can be consideration for me. Because when I look at what he's done this far, Rob, it's crazy.
I'll also say MVPs are overrated, man.
He's 29 years old, and the man has already won 3 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowl MVPs. He's 2-time All-Pro. Tom Brady was only 3. He's 2-time already. Tom Brady was obviously, I think, was 13-time All-Pro, if I'm not mistaken. 15-time All-Pro.
Not All-Pro.
Pro Bowl, 15-time Pro Bowls.
Pro Bowls don't matter.
He's already, obviously, at 6 for Patrick Mahomes. He's been an MVP twice. I mean, like, he's on the track, literally, to match what Tom Brady did. And another thing for me,
he's not on the track.
I don't understand how you're saying it. He's 3-2, just like Tom Brady was.
Because what Tom Brady did at the end is unheard of.
And he's been more prolific than Tom already. Tom got prolific later.
No, but you see the erosion of Mahomes' game. That's the part.
Thank you. Someone else finally opened their eyes. Oh my God. It's been how many videos I've been reacting, man? Come on, finally.
Part that I'm trying to say to you is that he hasn't gotten better with age.
Yo, why am I agreeing with Rob Parker? What is this?
He's gotten worse.
Well, so
why would I believe that all of a sudden,
because I'm a
5
great
years
question.
from
Great
now,
question.
5 years, he's going to be better than he is
Great
now?
question.
That's
Tom Brady, the GOAT himself, mentioned that during the broadcast. He said what a lot of people see is about numbers and about stats. He said when I've been watching him, what I understand, he said game management sometimes is a compliment for us quarterbacks. You all think it's bad. He said for us, because every game, every season, it's a different team and it requires something different from me. So this season I might have to be X. This season I might have to do Y. This season I might have to do Z. And he said he's been able to do that and get the job done.
That's fair, but bro is throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
So to your point, meaning next season, he may say,
I understand what he's saying. Sometimes you got to morph to your team. Sometimes your team is better on defense. Sometimes your team has a great special team. Sometimes you have a lot of weather you've got to deal with. Sometimes your team's better at running the ball. Sometimes you want to be a play action team. Sometimes you want to be a drop back team. I understand what he's saying. Okay, but if you've watched the guy play the last 3 years and you compared 2021 and 2022 Patrick Mahomes to 2023 and 2024 Patrick Mahomes, I think you can see a difference.
I need to go back to throwing 4,500 yards and 35, 40 touchdowns.
I don't.
He may need to be there.
I don't believe that. Like that sounds nice. You can't tell me that Patrick Mahomes dummied down his game to have 16 interceptions.
I don't think he dummied it down.
No, but you're saying what they need. I don't believe that. I don't.
Here's what I'm saying, Rob.
I don't believe
if they get Tyreek Hill, who once have been winking and flirting.
This team was 15-2, and he got zero.
Right, because his numbers were crazy.
No, but if it's just not numbers and it's about managing the team,
I'm saying he
and
went
doing
up
the
against
stuff
guys
that they
with
need.
Crazy numbers, Rob.
No, but
Lamar Jackson's numbers were literally ridiculous.
I don't think that you're going to return to that, is what I'm trying to say. I think, and I said this, Rob, do you remember?
I think there'll be a couple years where he returns to that, but I mean that I would expect that
Patrick Mahomes had plateaued. Didn't I say that? That was you. We can find the video. Elijah, I'm dead serious that he plateaued. There was a point where I thought he was on his rise or whatever. I mean, and Chris was always the Jordan-esque. I bet you we would call Chris right now. There's no way after that performance could you call him Jordan-esque.
Right, but
could you? I'm asking you just the idea. I
still say yes because he's 20. That's a fair listen.
No, he's not Jordan-esque. Okay, these things that they're saying, like I've heard, like, oh, he's the Michael Jordan of football. You're delusional, dude.
I'm not mad at that, but I'm also not going to take one game. I'm going to say he has 10 more years.
It's 2 bad games in the Super Bowl.
Dude, listen what he's done in the postseason.
No. I'm talking about the Super Bowl.
Right,
what's he done in the Super Bowl?
But in order to get to the Super Bowl,
no.
I have to be because you're literally.
Who has he played? Serious question. Who has Mahomes played in the playoffs? Sean McDermott?
Ignoring what makes someone great.
No, but what makes Brady great is that he won 7 Super Bowls, not one playoff
because he
game.
had to be great in the regular season to get there.
But what makes him the GOAT to you is that he won 7.
Yeah, he's right. What makes him the GOAT is he won 7 Super Bowls. Even if he went to 10 and he lost all of them, people would laugh at him. They wouldn't put him first.
Not that he won playoff games.
Rob.
So you got to stay
Even if he won 40 playoff games, but he won 3 Super Bowls, I'm not sure he'd be the GOAT.
consistent.
No.
That's what makes Brady great.
Rob, you're totally missing the
No,
whole
I'm
point.
not.
Or let me rephrase that. You're missing my point.
Okay.
It's not a singular thing. Michael Jordan didn't just win 6. He also was a scoring title.
Nobody
he also
cares
was an
about.
MVP.
I'm talking about the playoff
that all
games.
of adds to it is what I'm saying. When you're the GOAT.
How many playoff games did Michael Jordan win? I'm asking
saying,
you.
What do you mean? I don't.
No one knows. That's his point.
I don't know
total?
because you just talked about
No, but I'm
what Mahomes did to get
how
there.
did he get to the playoffs?
But I'm asking you. Nobody knows those numbers.
All I'm saying.
How many
Rob, is,
playoff games did Tom Brady
Rob,
win?
If Eli Manning won 5 rings, but he was the Eli Manning we saw in the regular season, you would have a different, like, oh, it was good, but he didn't win all those rings, or he was a part of a team.
No.
Well, it's not just about to.
If Eli won 5 rings, he'd be top 5 quarterback of all time without a debate. 5 rings? 5? He'd have to do something to win 5.
Just the rings. It's also an eye test. Patrick Mahomes doing things we literally never saw the first 4 or 5 years of his career.
What, throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage?
That's why people started having these conversations.
What did we not see other than the 50
Bro, it's Brett Favre.
touchdown?
The passing we never see. Tom Brady ain't never in his life threw a no look behind the back, flipping over his head.
Okay,
And
when have you
that's a
seen
part
that?
of it.
Have you seen that in the last 2 years?
Well, he did one yesterday as well. So what I'm saying, that what made Jordan was because we never saw anything like Jordan. It wasn't just the rings. When you say these things, it's because Jordan was literally Air Jordan, flying through the air, switched his game, went from flying through the air to what? Posting you up. So I'm saying there are changes in your career, a la 50 touchdowns.
All right, bro. Delusional. But Rob Parker, man, give him the credit he deserves. Guys, let me know what you thought of that video in the comment section below. Gronk, spike the like button. Leave your opinion on Pat Mahomes. Is the GOAT conversation over or not? Sound off. Peace.